Hey, what's happening, guys? Tato Khadebe here once again. Thank you so much for tuning into yet another video. I'm really enjoying this process of getting back into making more regular videos. And I hope you guys are enjoying the content as much as I'm enjoying making them. So as the title says, I'm going to be talking about the design process that we try to follow here at TRJ. And I think with this video, anyone that's looking to maybe work with us, you'll be able to see what exactly it is that we do and how you can go about, doing business with us. So if that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. Okay, so the very first thing that we want to do when you're looking for a piece to be made is we need to determine what your inspiration is. So by inspiration, I mean, what are you wanting the piece to basically resemble? A lot of the things that I'm finding in the business is, as much as I would like people to have, let's say, a 100% designer piece made, and by that I mean I conceptualize it from the beginning all the way up until I get to the final piece, people are not necessarily too interested in that. A lot of the times people are interested in a piece that maybe they've seen in a magazine, or maybe they've seen a celebrity wearing, or maybe they've seen it in a shop and they want something that is similar to that without necessarily changing too much. They want that piece manufactured by a manufacturing jeweler like myself. So what I like to do is I'll ask people to send me an image or a video of whatever it is that the piece that they're inspired by, and then I will take that piece and then I will maybe change a few things or add my own little twist to it as a way to, try to make it your own piece. A lot of the times as well, people just want that exact same piece, and I'm very happy to do that because at the end of the day, if you are the client coming to me wanting something made, I will definitely make something to your specification. Now that we know what you want the piece to look like, we've come up with the inspiration. Now we need to talk about the budget. So the budget is a very important step in the process, because the budget will allow me to be able to see how far I can go with my design, whether I need to hold back or if I can maybe look for materials or stones that are of a higher quality, or different types of materials or different types of stones depending on the budget. So the budget is one of those things that if you know exactly how much you're willing to spend, it will not waste my time, it will not waste your time, because there's nothing more frustrating than if, let's say, you design something, it might be quite elaborate, and then I show you the piece or the concept, and then you end up telling me that, oh no, this is not within my budget, or I was looking for something a little bit cheaper than this. Then, that time that I would have spent coming up with whatever it is that you were looking for could have happened, as opposed to me just designing and sketching something being in the dark. So we need to determine what it is that you're willing to spend, and after that happens, we can discuss what is possible and what isn't possible. Now, after we've discussed what is possible and what isn't possible, then I will be able to show you, okay, if your budget is X, this is what we are able to do. And if you are wanting something that is a little bit more elaborate, or something that is of maybe more quality, better quality stones, you might then have to add a little bit more to the budget. And what I find with my clients is we are able to have a middle ground where you add a little bit more to the budget so that I can be able to get the piece that you're looking for. Okay, so now that we've determined what your budget is, then the real work can now begin. But before the real work can begin, there is a design fee that is required from every client before I can actually start designing. So now this design fee, it's 2,500 Rand. That is standard across any design work that we do. Now this amount basically is we can call it a pre-deposit. I say pre-deposit because there is a deposit that you pay before manufacturing begins. The reason why we call it a pre-deposit is you're basically paying for the hours that I'm now going to be putting in, putting down, or coming up with the concepts that I will then later present to you. So you'll pay this 2,500 Rand, and then I'll begin my designing. Now, the nice thing about the pre-deposit is this 2,500 Rand will then be subtracted from the final amount that comes out at the end. So this is just another way of making sure that every client that is coming to do business with us is basically putting skin in the game, if I can put it that way. Because what I found previously, and this is something that we had to do to avoid what I'm about to tell you now. Previously, what happened is I would do my conceptualizing and do all my designs, present it to the client, and then the client says, no, they're not interested anymore. So you can imagine how frustrating that is for any designer, where you've put an X amount of hours into a piece and then the client tells you no, that they're not interested anymore. Whereas you could have spent that time doing something else. So the design fee is basically a way of saying you are interested in a piece, and now I'm going to, put something down on paper to present to you. So that would be the next step. Okay, so then after you have paid your design fee, I will then take a couple of days, usually about a week or so, between 5 and 7 days, where I will spend time now on the computer designing and coming up with a few concepts to show you. I think a nice number that I work with when it comes to concepts is about 4 different concepts that I will then come up with. Now with the concepts, these are the ideas basically. So I will then put down on paper, or in this case on the computer, 4 different variations of your piece, which I will then render. By rendering, I mean I draw them up on CAD, and then I will basically take a photo, a real life or an illustration, a real life illustration of the piece on the computer, which is what then I will present to you. That then takes us to the next step, which is the presentation of these concepts to you. So we will set up a meeting where I will then present to you these 4 or 5 different concepts. You'll have a look at them, and then this is, because it's a consult, this is still a chance for you to change what you need to change. We can tweak as many things that need to be tweaked as possible. And if a second consultation is required based on whatever changes are required, we will set that up. And then this process will happen until you are happy with whatever concepts that I've come up with. Once we have then come up with this final piece, I'll know that we can begin manufacturing. But before we can begin with the manufacturing, as I mentioned earlier on, there's a deposit that has to be paid. So you've paid your pre-deposit, which is the design fee, which is 2,500 Rand. Now you need to pay the actual deposit, which is, we work on a 50% deposit basis. So if the piece is 30,000 Rands, you will then you'll pay 12,500 Rand. The reason I say 12,500 is because you've paid your deposit, you paid your design fee, which is 2,500 Rand, and then I'll add the other 12,500 Rand, which will give you 15,000, right? And that's half of the 30,000 Rand, which is the final retail price. So after you've paid your deposit, then I can be able to source the materials and then begin manufacturing. Now the lead time that I work with in terms of manufacturing a piece is around about 2 weeks, depending on the complexity of the piece. But I usually do take 2 weeks. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, but I do try my best to manufacture in a less time than 2 weeks. Now, while I'm busy manufacturing, what I like to do is I will be in constant communication with you as a client to update you with regards to the progress of your piece. Letting you know if we are on track or if I might need a little bit more time, or if we will be able to finish earlier than expected. But the communication thing is something that is constantly happening, just so that you aren't on edge, and to make sure that I keep myself as well accountable. Because what I've learned is if I don't communicate with the client, then you end up losing the rapport that you have with the client. So manufacture, it'll take about 2 weeks, and then I'll let you know if the piece is done, and then we can meet up so that we can deliver the piece. Now the piece will be delivered to you in one of two ways. We can either meet somewhere for you to be able to try it on while I'm there, and then you can see if it fits properly. That's what I prefer to do. So I'm more than happy to drive to you, as long as you're in the Johannesburg area, because that's where I'm based. If you are somewhere else within the country, I can have the piece couriered to you, and then you'll try it on, and then we can even have a Zoom or a WhatsApp call or an online consultation where you try on the piece, and then you'll see if it fits, and then whatever alterations have to happen, you can send me back the piece, and then we'll make those alterations up until you are happy with the way the piece looks. And that's basically our design process, guys. We do try to keep our process as succinct as we possibly can, because when you find that you might have multiple clients at the same time, you don't want to spend too much time, doing unnecessary things. So we keep our deadlines as short as we possibly can. Nothing will take longer than 2 weeks in terms of, the designing or the manufacturing. That's where we try to keep it to also make sure that you as a client gets the piece in a timely manner, but also at the same time, I give myself enough time to make sure that the piece is as quality as I can possibly make it. Now, I'm very happy to hear any comments from anyone down below. If there's anything that you didn't understand or you need more clarity on, please do not hesitate to leave me a comment down below, and I will most definitely be able to answer you there. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you really did enjoy it. Until we meet again, peace.